About a lot of these, though, that have come on, and it reminds me of other things that you can get for free or very cheap, and then after they sort of hook you or you become addicted to whatever it is, then they start upping the price. And it seems like we're seeing a little bit of this bait and switch in streaming, right?
Tonight, Florida prosecutors offering to drop soliciting prostitution charges against billionaire New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft. The deal, offered to Kraft and 24 other men, would carry several requirements. Kraft would have to acknowledge he would have been found guilty at trial of soliciting a prostitute, take an educational class on the dangers of prostitution, perform 100 hours of community service, pay $10,000 in fines, and submit to an STD test.
The question was, does the video contain Mr. Kraft inside receiving the alleged acts? The answer to that is yes.
Apple has had a busy week. First releasing new iPads on Monday, following with new iMacs on Tuesday, and today we received the second generation version of AirPods. Let's dig in and check out everything new with Apple's new wireless headphones.
What's up, YouTube and DTube? It's your boy Lamont and Larry. We're back. And before we jump into it, we've got some great topics we're going to cover for y'all. We're going to do cord cutting. We're going to do Robert Kraft's plea deal. We're going to do Apple popped out with AirPods 2 and a little State Department. But first, I got to put on my +7s, Larry. What you got to do?
Oh, man. I just got to be here with you. I'm getting some of the sexy by osmosis.
Oh, my God. Oh, my. You make me sound like I'm some kind of water factory or something. Just filter on through.
Filter on through. Boy, just let it flow through you.
Yeah, man. So it's like something happens every week, right?
Right. Every week.
And before we forget, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and Larry's channel, because we both are trying to do big things on this YouTube and DTube platform. So Larry, with all the stuff going on, which one you want to cover first?
Let's get the Apple stuff out the way. It's sort of a tech thing. It just dropped today. Let's just bump that out right quick. So, for those of you who don't know, Apple just dropped their brand new AirPods 2 today. So they have a brand new set of AirPods. They come with a wireless charging case. And actually, they give you the option. You can take it with the wireless charging case or without the wireless charging case. So if you want the wireless charging case, it starts at they're $199. If you want it without the wireless charging case, I believe at the same price as the old ones, which were $159. So, and if you actually have the old ones and you're happy with them, you don't have to upgrade. You can just pay $79 and buy just the wireless charging case, and then you get you can keep your AirPods and you can have the wireless charging. So.
Well, I have to ask the tough questions, my man. What's so special about these AirPods that you should get rid of your old ones?
Be honest with you, I'm not sure there is much that you really need to upgrade. This feels more like an incremental upgrade. Mm-hmm. Like, I think if you have AirPods, the original AirPods, and you're happy with them, I don't think you need to upgrade. I think you'll be good. But they do have there are some advances or some improvements, as they always do. They are now compatible with Bluetooth 5.
Okay.
They're quicker switching, so if you have multiple Apple devices, like an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac, an Apple TV, there's quicker switching so that you can see which device you're actually using, and then go ahead and select that one to use with your AirPods. So this is really nice for people like me. I have an Apple TV, so it's really nice if you're trying to watch something and it's late, you don't want to wake up the rest of your family. You can, you use your AirPods, and they connect really quickly, and so that's nice. I use them also when I'm editing, because sometimes I'm sitting on the couch and, my wife is watching TV. I don't want to bother her, so I turn on, I use earphones or headphones. And so this will be nice for that. It's because sometimes it's difficult when you have other earphones and they're paired up to multiple devices. You have to go try and remember the last device was connected to, and sometimes you have to disconnect them or just disconnect, reconnect. Sometimes it's just a hassle. So it's actually, it used to be, I think it was a W1 chip that was in them, but now they have the H1 chip, which is an improved chip, which gives you faster connections and better recognition on which device you're using. And they also offer, I believe it's an extra hour of battery life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's some improvements on there, but I think for a lot of people, I mean, if you're a power user, where somebody who is using their AirPods all the time, then it might be worth the upgrade just for the extra battery life. But I think if you're, a casual user like most people are, and you're happy with your current AirPods, I don't think you need to upgrade. You might want to get the wireless case if that's something that's important to you, but otherwise, I think you're good.
Hey, y'all, when you need a review about new technology, make sure you go to this man's channel. He's going to continuously hook you up with the latest and greatest in technology news. And here's something else we do. Larry, have you seen the prices of what's going on in cord cutting this year?
Man, I'll tell you, it's almost as if these companies are saying, please go to the underground. It's like they're begging us to go.
It's ridiculous. So cord cutting is still cheaper than cable. However,
yes.
All the major above ground stream services have gone up $10 or more. Hulu Live, DirecTV, YouTube TV, and PlayStation View have all gone up at least $10 this year.
Right.
It just leaves you.
And they're not giving you $10 more content.
No, you're not. And in some cases, you're losing content. With DirecTV, you lost content.
Right.
That just begs this other question. They're trying everything they possibly can do to quell underground streams, but to no avail. What do you see happening with cord cutting, considering that these companies are just continuously increasing prices?
Honestly, I think it's just going to become more and more where people are moving to either the underground,
right,
or you just have more people that have just decided, I don't need to have live TV in the same way, and they'll end up being forced to provide a service that's ad supported instead of paid. And I think the reason why that is, most people that cut the cord today and want live TV, a lot of people want live news and they want live sports.
Right.
And if they get to a point where people are like, I'm not paying this money, and it starts to cut in to their sports revenues, the leagues will find a way to get people the content directly. I mean, if you, for instance, with MLB, right? If you are a T-Mobile customer,
mm-hmm.
you get, every year they have they have the T-Mobile Tuesdays every Tuesday where you can get free stuff through their app. But every year there's one day where, and I think it's coming up, I think next week, where you can sign up and you get a whole year subscription, the whole year for MLB TV for free. For just being a T-Mobile customer. I mean, literally every game, no blackouts, no geographic restrictions. And once you have to sign up on your T-Mobile device, but once you sign up there, you can load it up on your Fire TV, your Apple TV, your iPad, your smart TV. You can put it anywhere. And so I think what we're already seeing happening is, that sports leagues are starting to just bypass the cable companies altogether and just offer their content in different ways. I mean, we see it with CBS Sports
mm-hmm.
offering the NCAA tournaments. We saw it this past season with Yahoo offering the NFL on boards. They offered it the year before. NFL offered it the year before. Some games on Twitter. I think Amazon Prime had Thursday games. I mean, there was, if you knew where to look, you could get all of your games, at least all of your local games and major games like Sunday. Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, and your local Sunday games or regional games for free anyway. So, I haven't seen as much with the NBA, but I think what's going to happen is basically they're going to price themselves out of the market to the point where people are just looking elsewhere. I mean, you already have young people that are what do they call them? Never corders or something?
Never cutters,
yeah. So you have people like that are used to not paying. They don't want to pay anything, and you get to the point where you're charging people who were used to paying so much that they're just going to be like, all right, you priced me out of cable. Now you're pricing me out of the cord cutting, the digital streaming. I'm going to just start looking elsewhere for their content. And then that's where they're going to come to today. I feel like, YouTube channel and find out all kinds of good ways.
to get the content they want.
But in all seriousness, no, I mean, unless you give people more, don't charge people more. It's not costing them anymore. There haven't been any announcements of new deals, so it's not like there's any reporting or any news of increased licensing fees that they have to pay.
Larry, these guys got French hookers they got to pay for on the side. These guys got yachts they got to buy on the side. These guys got colleges they got to pay to get their kids into instead of letting their kids get in there. Larry, you're missing the point, man. It's called capitalize. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, it's called capitalism. And you're missing the point. They're doing it just because they feel like they can do it.
But here's the thing, though, right? If you can pay your Florida Korean, happy ending massage parlors, and you can pay to have all the PR done after your star quarterback beats somebody in a hotel.
Right.
If you can pay for all this and still give your games away free on multiple platforms, these cable companies can figure out a way to keep the prices down, or these streaming companies can find a way to keep the prices down.
That's not called capitalism. See, what happens in capitalism is each and every year you have to find a new way to slowly increase your percentages by 2 or 3. And the only way you can do that is to skim it out of people. That's what it is. But I'm gonna tell you what But the problem with all that is you're creating a religious dilemma in a whole lot of households. Because a whole lot of people who would have told you 2 years ago, I'm not going to get those underground streams. They're probably illegal. They done finally came around and said, capitalism ain't taking care of us. This ain't even a religious decision no more. This is a smart decision. And until people can go to jail for these type of streams, and courts are coming out ruling that these streams are fair and legal. A lot of courts have been ruling if it's coming from the web and it's not kiddie porn, you can look at it. People are going to look at it. And somebody is going to have to finally sit down and be like, you know what? We're going to have to give quality over price. Because people are just not going to tolerate it. Now, I'm going to tell you what scares me about this whole thing. More and more never cutters are using what service? YouTube. Right. I'm waiting for the day, and I'm scared of the day I see the signs on the wall that YouTube might at some point in time become a paid service.
Well, they've already been leaning towards that in some respects with like YouTube Red and YouTube TV and some of those things. So they've already been leaning towards integrating paid services or paid aspects of their service. But I'm not sure. I mean, they may try it, but I'm not sure that they would survive as a truly paid service, because it's so much of the reason why they are successful is because they have such great content for free. And if they really started to pay, if they really started to charge people to access the service, they would have to start paying content creators, all content creators, a percentage, because they couldn't. Otherwise, you would end up with a huge class action lawsuit. You can't sit up there and say, well, you can't sit up there and say, well, it's a free service, and so people can upload their stuff for free. We don't charge anything. The moment they start charging for anyone to watch my content,
right?
I want a piece of that. I want a big piece of that.
So, what the rumblings I've been hearing is that $1 to $2 is not going to make anybody run away from YouTube, but you will have to deal with content creators going to want a piece of that pie. And the issue that YouTube has been having is, how do you divvy out that pie in a manner that's conducive for everybody?
Yeah, I mean that's going to be difficult, and it's going to make a lot of people a lot of money. It would make a lot of people frustrated and think like that. Because I mean, I know we think to ourselves like $1 or $2 is not much money, but a lot of people who watch YouTube are young kids that don't have money. They don't have any money. I mean, when you think about like my little 10-year-old niece, she watches YouTube. She doesn't have money. I mean, she has the only money she has is the money that her mother gives her, or me, or my wife give her, or her grandfather, or somebody gives her. That's it. No one else has. She doesn't have any other money. So if someone is not willing to put down a credit card to pay for her to have YouTube for the year, she's just simply not going to watch it. She's going to go watch her content elsewhere. She'll start watching Instagram TV or Facebook or wherever else she can find video content at. It won't be YouTube, though.
Gotcha, man. So we'll leave it on that one. Here's story number 3. Yo boy, Robert Bob Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, who recently got caught in one of those $5 sucky massage parlors down in Florida. Rubbing tubs, man. He was trying to get him another ring. He was just offered yesterday a plea deal that would result in him not doing any time, but these are the specifications of the plea deal. He would have to say that he is guilty and that there is provable evidence of his guilt. He would have to pay a court cost and a fine. He would have to attend, and I can't make this stuff up, sex education classes, STD classes, classes on human trafficking, but he must admit he was guilty. Robert Kraft's lawyer has dropped a release saying he still contends he's innocent. I'll give the floor to you, Mr. Larry.
Well, here's the thing, right? I mean, he's a billionaire. I can only imagine that even if they have video evidence of him, which they do, I'm imagining with a team of lawyers that he can put up against this case if he wanted to, he could beat it. The problem is he's going to have all this time and energy and publicity around this that he doesn't want. But more importantly is that if he doesn't agree to say that I'm guilty, then he's not going to be able to plead out, because courts will not accept a guilty plea if you are maintaining your innocence. So you can't sit up there and have your attorney saying, "Oh, I'm innocent," but then turn around and say, "Well, we're just going to accept a guilty plea because we want a lesser sentence, or because we want the case to go away." If you're up there still saying that you're innocent, the judge will just simply say, "Well, the court doesn't accept your guilty plea." You know, you're going to have to plead. You're going to have to actually plead guilty and say, "Yes, I did it." You know,
man.
And with that comes along all the other stuff that you just mentioned. All the sex trafficking classes, the STD classes, the community service, whatever fines they want to levy against them. Acknowledgement of the evidence, which means also at that point that when the media gets a hold of these tapes, because of when they start filing, if they haven't already, start filing these FOIA requests, the Freedom of Information requests, that they're going to get these tapes. And when they start posting them on their websites and showing them on their networks, he's not going to be able to sue them and say, "Oh, that wasn't me." They're posting videos lying, saying that's not me. He's not going to be able to do that, because he's going to have already acknowledged that the evidence is legit.
I tell you what, man. This, in all honesty, would be a non-story, in all honesty, if it didn't tie into human trafficking in that massage parlor.
Right.
That's the number one issue. The number two issue that bothers me, that sticks in my craw, is how people who have the power and connection Robert Kraft has would look down on me and you if we got caught doing the same thing, because they can afford the ridicule and the embarrassment if they get caught, but they have the power to influence the people who make laws that you should just damn near make this thing legal across America. If a woman wants to do something with her body, she should be able to do it. And if you make it legal, you can defang some of this human trafficking. Those are my two issues with it. Now back to Mr. Kraft's decision. He's going to have to pick either humiliation or months of humiliation. There's no way around it. Because if it goes to trial, what happens with trial? Discovery. And that's going to be public. So one way or the other one, he's going to have to deal with humiliation, whether he does it now or whether he drags it out for 3 months. But at the end of the day, man, he gets to say something that a lot of people can't say, that a lot of people will let rule out his embarrassment. He gets to say he's a billionaire.
Right, that's true.
And no matter how embarrassed you are, if we was to stick him on Interstate 40 and make his butt walk completely naked the whole road, nobody's going to care because he's a billionaire.
I'll tell you, I would, if I were him, I would be inclined to fight this. Even if, I mean, everyone knows about it. They know there's a tape. I mean, are you gonna be embarrassed if people see a tape of you and your old fat self in there getting rubbed out,
right?
Or hitting some chick from behind for 5 minutes before you leave? He was only in like 12 minutes or something.
Hell, that might give him street cred. In all honesty,
I mean, but in reality, I would fight it because if he pleads out to this, and I'm not sure how the Florida laws work, but he might have to register as a sex offender, and
depending upon the girl, yeah. But he probably don't want to go to discovery, because when they go into discovery, they're not just going to be going into the issues of the case. They get to dig into his whole life. They get to dig into emails. He might have some other more embarrassing things that he don't want to come out that he might want to keep classified.
Right. Well, I mean, he should probably. This may sound jacked up to a lot of people, right?
Okay.
Some people may hear this and think this is jacked up, but this is what I'm thinking. You're a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
You afford, let's just say, $200,000 a year, easily. Why don't you just go get? I mean, you're in Florida. Real estate in Florida is relatively cheap in a lot of places. Just go get you a nice, go get a nice condo somewhere. You don't even have to give it to somebody. You can even buy it, put it in a corporation's name or something, and just go get you one of these little sugar babies. Have these, find these young chicks that are in college. They want to do this because they want the money, so it's all consensual. At the same time, they don't want their life ruined because they're not out there trying to tell the whole world, hey, look at me, I'm sleeping with people for money. That way, the girl can have a nice place to live. He can show up when he needs to, go get his business on, and then he can leave. Everybody's happy, and you don't have to worry about getting dimed out.
But Larry, that's not the vending machine aspect, man. You don't want to go to a candy store and only want to get Snickers. You want to get Twix. You want to get that dark chocolate cocoa. You want some white vanilla. And, hey, man, it's cheaper to buy it. But I get what you're saying.
Then buy a 5-bedroom condo and get 5 sugar babies. You think you can find 5 chicks that are saying, yes, we will all live here, share this place, and live rent-free and be happy. And all we have to do is service you up when you come around and choose which one of us you want. You don't think that would happen? The
man said his name is Bob Kraft, not Bob Kelly or Hugh Hefner. He wants to be able to go to a venue, see the chick one time, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I'm out of here, and not deal with it. What he really should do, which highlights your point and mine, since his boy is Donald Trump, he should just make it legal across the United States, and this won't be an issue for nobody, and everybody gets to participate.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think that if you legalize prostitution and then you can have registries where people have to go in and get a license, they have to be tested and have testing similar to maybe the way they do the adult industry out in California or other places in the country as well, where you have to get tested every 2 weeks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can at least make sure that if these people are registered, you can get rid of a lot of the pimps and a lot of the trafficking. You can make sure that people are paying their taxes, that people are maintaining their health.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that you can do so that you don't have this sort of rogue industry. Because anytime you have something underground, you're going to have people that are just doing stuff, however they want to do it. They're just going to go wilding with it.
Right. And I'll say this, and we'll get on to the next and final point. The government is always looking for ways to suck down tax money. What greater way to suck down tax money than to go ahead and make that legal?
Yeah. And it's not like Florida's some bastion of morality. I mean, every other storefront is one of those pill farms, and the store in between those two pill farms is a gun shop.
You know, at this point in time, nobody can really sit here and claim they're a bastion of morality for a group of people. Your morality is your own individual walk.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Last story, and I'll get you out of here on this. This is your story. So I'm going to have to lean on your broad shoulders to get this one. The State Department earlier this week bars the press corps from Pompeo's briefing and will not release the list of attendees. Larry, what happened to transparency amongst the government? What happened to, we need to know what's going on so that we can stay abreast of the actions of our lawmakers? What is up with this story?
I'll tell you what's up with this story, which is crazy, right? It's that for people who don't know, there is a press corps that rolls with the State Department, just like there's a press corps that rolls with the Pentagon and rolls with the White House. They have their own press corps. So people work for CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the LA Times, all these different agencies and networks and AP and such. And all these people were denied access to this meeting. And the only news agencies that were allowed in were religious-based media outlets. Mm-hmm. And they were saying because it was a phone call where it was a discussion on religious freedoms around the world.
Gotcha.
And so, to me, that just makes absolutely no sense. I mean, do they really believe that people who watch CNN and MSNBC or read the New York Times or the Washington Post don't have religious beliefs? I mean, I don't really read religious publications or watch religious shows, but I watch the mainstream shows and I find stories they do on religion interesting. But if you don't give them access, all those people out there that are very religious that watch mainstream media don't even know about whatever it was that this was discussed about the religious freedoms discussions the State Department is having. It's really disturbing that they would exclude organizations and only allow religious-based organizations in there. So it really rings just with a stench of anti-Americanism right there.
Yeah, well, because I don't know much about the story. I'm just speaking from the perspective of a citizen who thinks we need as much transparency and accountability in the government, and we need the freedom of the press to be everywhere so that we at least have an arm of accountability to what they're telling us.
Right.
I'm one of that mindset. I don't like it when anybody's Fox News, CNN News, whoever is locked out of anything that is the business of the people. This was a State Department meeting. This is not some military top secret war plan, war campaign toward another nation. This is business of the people, and whenever you're talking about the business of the people, I'm in favor of the people, and I believe we need transparency. No one should be getting kicked out. Is anybody going to be held accountable for this?
No. I mean, first of all, you're talking about the media. So as far as the top of the food chain at the State Department is the Secretary of State, and he's not going to do anything about it. He was cool with it. I mean, above him only is his boss, which is the president. The president's not gonna do anything about it because he hates the media as it is. So unless the people stand up, unless the American people stand up and are really outraged and say, hey, this cannot stand, and really make a big stink about it, then it's not going to happen. But that's not likely because so many people out there in our country right now have such negative feelings towards the press, not knowing that if it wasn't for the press, they would be wholly ignorant to most things that happen in not just the world, but in anything outside of their little tiny bubble.
And that's probably the problem. Nobody wants to hear anything unless it's inside their bubble. That's the problem. People don't want information. Most people want affirmation. And then when they do go get information outside their bubble, they've been sucked into this new cool term, fake news. Right. Well, damn it, everything ain't fake. If you pull up to a red light and that bitch is red and you run through it and get a ticket, you can't say, my perspective, the light was green.
Right.
Like, I'm so sick of this, as if facts don't exist, and it makes me feel bad when people want to take facts that are concrete and twist it into an opinion or an inference.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, simply disagreeing with something does not make it fake.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot that I simply do not like about, our president.
Okay.
But if he does something good, which I haven't seen happen yet, but if he does something good, that doesn't make it fake news because somebody reported that he did something good. It's just, maybe I don't want to see him do anything. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't want to see him do anything good, but if he does something I disagree with, which is everything, I can't turn around and say this is fake news just because I disagree with it. I mean, I don't like the tax break, but I can't turn around and say that it's all fake news. He did a tax break for the rich. It's there. It exists. That's what it is. I don't agree with it, but I don't get to call it fake news.
That's true. That's true.
It's just people disagree with stuff. I know I'm sounding a little crazy right now, just rambling on about this, but I think one of the problems is so many people they say, I disagree with this, and so it's not real.
Right.
That's not the way the world works.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way the world works.
I would agree with that. And
but I think more importantly, though, we need to recognize that we do have a freedom of press, we do have freedom of religion, and there is a separation between between religion and our state, and that needs to be maintained, and that doesn't mean that religious outlets should be excluded from participating in state, and the federal government or state government. And it's not that these religious outlets should be excluded, but they should not be the only ones that are included. That is taking things in the wrong direction. If you're saying that, well, they were only ones allowed in because the discussion was about religious freedoms around the world. That's just asinine to think that other people aren't concerned about that. That's just simply like saying, oh well, we excluded all the women, all the female reporters, and all the female media outlets. We excluded all of them because we were talking about issues that pertain to men today.
Right. Right.
That's just crazy to think that religious freedoms around the world don't affect everyone.
Right, and that's just true.
No.
Well, we'll leave it on that one. We hope y'all enjoy this weekly Lamont and Larry Hot Topics. Post your comments down below. Let us know what other topics you guys want us to talk about, because we're always willing to give our 2 cents based on some of the things we have done in life. And that's going to do it for this video. Don't you forget to like our video, comment, and subscribe to both of our channels. And I like to let Larry do his outro because his is cooler than mine. So, Larry?
All right, you guys, thanks for coming back to see both of us. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to both of our channels, and until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Peace.
Peace.